Hey, what is up guys, this is CaveFace1 and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different from the norm. As you hopefully know, I have a gaming channel and that's where I post all my gameplay footage, play video games, whatever. And that is where I do most of my stuff. But today I'm starting my book review channel where I will read books, review them for you, and kind of just hopefully help you find some books to read. Because it can be very difficult to find good books to read after a while. So today I will be reviewing Fahrenheit 451, which is a book written by Ray Bradbury in 1953. The Wikipedia article says this about it. It is regarded as one of Bradbury's best works. The novel presents a future American society where books are outlawed and firemen burn any that are found. The title refers to the temperature that Bradbury understood to be the auto-ignition point of paper. So in English, that last sentence said, Ray Bradbury thought that was the temperature at which books burn. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it is, but it might be. But now you know where the name of the book came from, so that's important. So if you ever wonder why Fahrenheit 451 is called Fahrenheit 451, now you know. This is a really, really good book, guys. So when I first read it, I was a little bit younger. I didn't understand a lot of what was being told in it, but it was a pretty good book. Even though I didn't understand most of what was being said. I read it again a little bit later when I was older, and I understood it a lot more, and I got more out of it than I thought I would previously. So as I was rereading it, I noticed there was a lot more personification than I remember. And if you don't know what that is when an inhuman object, such as a chair, does something as a person would. So a good example that everyone always uses is the wind whistled, because the wind can't actually whistle, but it's a good way to tell about a certain sound or anything, or a certain thing. So that's a good thing. He uses a lot of symbolism. A big symbol throughout the whole thing is the phoenix as well. It doesn't actually have the phoenix itself, the real bird of fire, you know, the one that dies, comes back to life as a baby phoenix. That has nothing to do with the story because this is a real book. It's realistic. It is sci-fi. It's technically sci-fi, but it doesn't really use any of the other elements. It does have some technologies. Apparently, throughout it, I didn't notice this last time I read it, he predicted iPods, earbuds, flat screen TVs, all these technologies that we all take for granted now. He predicted every one of those pretty accurately. He had like the wireless earbuds that were connected to like the radio and stuff. You could listen to the radio. He had flat screen TVs with the walls and stuff. And it was amazing. I didn't catch that before the first time I read it. But the whole idea of the book is about the main character of the book is called Guy Montag. Now I know you might be thinking, oh, Guy Montag, that's not necessarily the greatest name in the world. And that's completely up to opinion. If you don't like the name Guy Montag, that's your choice. You might not always like the name of the main character. I found that in a lot of books I will be like, oh, this guy's name is George or something, and you don't really like that name, but once you get to know them by reading the rest of the book, you actually start to associate that name with that person. So if you just stick out the book, even though you might not like the name Guy Montag, you'll learn to like that name a little bit more. So an interesting thing that I found is right here on the Wikipedia thing, he has a quote that I found that he discusses why he wrote the book as it is. He didn't, instead of writing like another fantasy book, or not fantasy, a sci-fi book like he does quite often, like about time travel or crazy technology, he said this. He said, I wrote this book at a time when I was worried about the way things were going in the country 4 years ago. Too many people were afraid of their shadows. There was a threat of book burning. Many of the books were being taken off the shelves at that time. And of course, things have changed a lot in 4 years. Things are going back in a very healthy direction. But at the time, I wanted to do some sort of story where I could comment on what would happen to a country if we let ourselves go too far in this direction. When all thinking stops, the dragon swallows its tails, and we sort of vanish into a limbo and we destroy ourselves by this sort of action. And then another quote that he did was this one. There is more than one way to burn a book, and the world is full of people running about with lit matches. Every minority feels it has the will, the right, the duty to douse the kerosene and light the fire. Fire Captain Beatty, who's a very important character in the book, and he's a very important character in the book, almost the villain, but not quite. In my novel, Fahrenheit 451, described how books were burned first by the minorities, each ripping a page or a paragraph from this book, until the day came when all the books were empty and the mines shut and the libraries closed forever. Only 6 weeks ago, I discovered that, over the years, some cubbyhole editors at Ballantine Books, fearful of contaminating the young, had bit by bit censored some 75 separate sections from the novel. Students reading the novel, which, after all, deals with the censorship and book burning in the future, wrote to tell me of this exquisite irony. So essentially what they're doing is they're censoring a book about censoring, which doesn't really make any sense at all. So that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so the main summary of the book, as I already told you, is about Guy Montag, and he's a fireman. So he burns books for a living. He gets money to go around and burn illegal books. Until one day he's coming home from his daily thing, burning books, being a fireman, supposedly helping the people, doing things for the greater good. He gets there and he has a new neighbor, essentially. He meets a girl, 17-year-old girl named Clarice, and she is sort of strange, I guess, to him. He thinks that she's really strange. She thinks about things, she talks about weird things, and after he meets her, she talks about how essentially sad a life he has, and he realizes it too, that he's not actually happy with his life. So they slowly become better friends throughout the book. She tells him stuff, he starts thinking about new things, getting ideas, starting to think that maybe burning books isn't such a great idea. And then one day she just disappears, which messed him up, essentially. He was really confused because she had shown up every single day at that exact spot to walk him to work, and they would always talk. So when she didn't show up, he was really worried, and that just kind of started a whole chain of events where he was kind of worried. He was starting to think about things, and so the next day he goes home, talks to his wife Mildred, they probably really shouldn't be married, but they are. It's like they just got married to get married, which is kind of horrible. But talks to her, and then that just kind of starts everything off. So Clarice starts Guy Montag on this journey to discover a better life, what books have inside of them, and that's the whole thing in the book that I can tell you without spoiling a ton of stuff, because I could sit here and read off the whole book to you, tell you exactly what happens when and where, but then there wouldn't be any point for you to read it. So I highly recommend this book. It's written very, very, very well by one of the best science fiction writers that you would ever read, ever, Ray Bradbury. He died, I believe, 2 years ago, so that's a shame. He was a very good author, and I hope, in case you didn't know this, I write stuff as well on the side, and I would hope that someday I could write like him. Like, he wrote really, really well, and he asked the questions, the tough questions, and didn't really care if it hurt people. Like, he asked the questions that mattered, and he didn't coddle around it or anything. So that was good. I read it, I really liked it. The personification, the symbolism, the characters they were good, but some of them were so good that it was bad, because they were supposed to be bad. And it was just all around a really good book. I would definitely recommend it. And I'm gonna do a rating thing, I guess. So we'll do a normal 5-star scale. I'd say this is probably 4.5, because it's super good. I kind of liked it. It did swear quite a bit, which I'm not a huge fan of swearing. I don't like reading swearing a ton, but the story more than makes up for it. So that's definitely good. So this has been CaseFace1 reviewing the book Fahrenheit 451. Thank you for watching. Hit that like, subscribe, comment, watch my gaming videos, and I will see you all in the next book review. See you later.